Hello, and welcome to our paper Unmaking as Emancipation, Lessons and Reflections from Luddism. Designing with and for social justice is a core mandate in HCI and refers to how we attend to the ways in which people experience oppression and marginalization. Much of the social justice work in HCI is constructive or making-based, meaning it seeks to understand and address justice challenges by building qualitative and/or quantitative research apparatus, making prototypes, crafting professional designs, and creating venues, classes, and policies, among others. But another line of work, which echoes critical theory traditions in social justice, argues that building a better world requires material, political, and epistemic approaches that undermine, unlearn, dissolve, and undo unjust structures and epistemologies in place so that new ones can arise. In other words, this approach involves unmaking, which we define as modes of thinking, expression, and action that take on an issue by taking away, taking apart, and/or taking down what currently exists. Unmaking has recently witnessed an increasing attention in HCI. We see it applied for pushing the boundaries of design and interactions through dissolving or collapsing assemblies, eliminating emotional, mental, or ecological harms that accompany designed objects, tending to device and infrastructure repair, and to leveraging speculative aesthetics to contest phenomena such as gentrification. While these unmaking works are underpinned by an imperative to remove certain harms or restrictions, they do not explicitly frame unmaking as emancipation for social justice. Given that HCI is interested in unmaking, HCI is committed to emancipation for social justice, and unmaking is necessary for emancipatory change. What should our field then know about unmaking that supports emancipation for social justice? Drawing on recent calls to engage with historicism in HCI, we sought an answer by turning to the past and finding a case study that can sharpen our understanding of unmaking as a tactic for emancipation. Our historical case study here is Luddism, a movement of 19th century weavers and textile workers from West England who experienced increased workplace mechanization that led to cutting down their work hours, replacing their labor altogether, and producing inferior cloth. Their attempts to petition officials to make constitutional changes to regulate machine adoption failed, prompted further by the Napoleonic War economic hardships, increased famine levels, and trade union illegalization. The textile designers and makers started in 1811 to go into factories at night and smash gig mills, shearing frames, and automatic looms since they were the machines reducing or impacting their labor. They also knighted a mythical leader named Ned Ludd, called themselves after him, and became a widely organized movement. The movement was met with urgent statutory changes which set harsh penalties on machine breaking, and by 1813, the state was largely able to put an end on machine destruction through armed presence at factories and capturing and executing several Luddite leaders. The Luddites were ultimately not able to stop work mechanization, and they were historically disparaged as technophobes. Yet, as evident by our investigation, which spanned recent interpretive accounts of Luddism in critical media studies, literary studies, the digital humanities, general historical accounts on Luddism, books on the Luddite writings and songs, pseudonyms, and trials, as well as references on technological innovation in 18th and 19th century England, we find Luddism has cast the longest shadow, even though it is not the only historical movement that involved unmaking technology. Today, it is actually celebrated for giving us a common name for machine breaking against injustice and inspiring critical thinking and action around technology adoption. In our paper, we identify distinct unmaking practices that the Luddites leveraged, which made their movement enduring. These practices, which we describe next, are relevant to HCI today. First, the Luddites smashed machines in partial and strategic ways, just enough to incapacitate them very quickly. They also resorted to symbolic practices, such as knighting Ludd, creating a collective under his leadership, and chanting about his bravery during raids. The Luddites also widely distributed letters, ballads, and manifestos around machine breaking, so their unmaking was both practical and symbolic. The Luddite unmaking was community engaged. They used a variety of tactics to build rapport and solidarity with local communities, such as secret oaths and getting people from a wide range of occupations involved, all which created a unified unmaking culture. The Luddite unmaking was emancipative. acting in material and rhetorical dimensions as an ideological struggle to seek justice for the artisans' production, labor gang, and social identities from the dominance of efficiency and commercialization. It was selective, unlike prior industrial conflicts in which workers wrecked all machines, raw material, finished goods, and even private employee properties. The Luddites only destroyed machines which cut down their wages, facilitated the employment of unskilled labor, and separated complex tasks into discrete steps that allowed for surveillance and power to be shifted to managers. Unmaking was therefore a targeted response to detrimental changes in the workplace rather than a blanket hostility towards all forms of technology and progress. The Luddite unmaking was antagonistic, unlike what we see in the HCI unmaking literature, where the objects destroyed are found in the lab, were discarded, or made to be unmade. The impacted machines and factories here were in use. They belonged to others, and that involved real capital loss. This also left no room to evade conflict and harsh public exchanges, which involved machine inventors, the press, factory owners, parliament members, and the army. Lastly, as we said earlier, the Luddite unmaking was enduring, evident by how it has continued to inspire thinking and theorizing on dismantling unrestricted technological developments. What makes Luddism relevant to our field today is that the Luddites had a critical awareness of negative technology impacts akin to what we see in HCI, and their actions, executed with selective and immense craftsmanship, recall the careful and critical traditions of HCI. At the same time, Luddism shows aspects of unmaking we do not widely discuss in HCI. This includes recognizing unmaking not framed within plans to make new things or repair them. In Luddism, we see unmaking as a means to revert to a past state of work arrangement, with the unmakers being content with mere destruction to emancipate the present from undesirable circumstances rather than to make or repair new things. Further, through examining how the Luddites operated on social, material, and rhetorical fronts, we are inspired by how much work unmaking requires across multiple registers and in ways that are not straightforward nor self-evident. This warrants greater attention in HCI and design. Third, Luddism shows us the other, often powerful stakeholders who may not consent to unmaking. This calls upon our making discourse to investigate and make explicit the antagonistic and paradoxical facets that accompany unmaking for emancipation, to identify pathways for navigating them. Luddism teaches us to the importance of creating situated and organized contexts where participatory unmaking can occur, and the performativity of shared symbolic tactics that could endure pushback and inspire future generations. The Luddites further resorted to machine breaking only after nonviolent means had been exhausted. Given that many of HCI's endeavors for emancipation are making-based, Luddism makes us ask, what are the limits of our normative practices? What if we have to go beyond the making? Lastly, while we do not suggest going as far as destroying machines and factories, we must know that tending to the ways in which people experience oppression and marginalization through making may not suffice. Sabotage is projected to increase just as social change based purely on nonviolent struggle is being questioned. An ethics of unmaking is then in order given the ethical paradoxes likely to be involved. Thank you. Please read our full paper, and I will leave you with these powerful lyrics from one of the Luddite songs.